Always and never for me are like red flag words, right? And it's kind of like, well, why? Maybe you have a very great reason, but let's unpack it a little bit and let's make sure from the grantee side and from the funder side that we all understand why we've always done something one way or why we've never tried to do this other thing, right? Like let's understand. I think, this idea of scarcity mindset and this cyclic nature of our sector, right? If you are constantly thinking about the next funding cycle, the same way a lot of our beneficiaries are constantly thinking about how they're going to get that next meal on the table, and a lot of folks are constantly thinking about how they're going to pay their rent next month, all of that is the same thing in my mind, right? All of that is just this desperation, and it puts us in a place where I think we are incapable of strengths-based thinking, right? I think we are incapable at that time to push aside the very real need that we have to put food on the table, to pay our rent, keep a roof over our head, and to keep this organization going. And as a nonprofit leader, the staff that you have to pay, with the rent that you have to pay for your own organization's offices, for keeping folks employed, all of these things to me are the same exact thing, right? And we talked at the very beginning around how that impacts your executive function, how it impacts whether you're able to think strategically for the future. Are you making the best decision for the community and the organization, or are you making the decision that the funder wants you to make because that's what they want to fund, right? And I think, to me, these are all the same cycles of desperation, and they're all the same cycles of money chasing. I don't know how to solve for that. In my piece of the puzzle, I feel very strongly that I try to make that facilitation as smooth as possible for organizations that are looking for funding. I think we all have a role to play to think about, how can we make this process easier? If you were in a position where you are facilitating money, whatever that might be, even if it's, and I say this for everybody, if you are in charge of a payroll, if you manage somebody, if you have a staff and an organization where you employ people, you are a facilitator of money, right? Whatever that looks like, how can you make that easier for people so that you're not in this desperation cycle, right? That we're thinking about it truly as facilitation towards an end goal that we have in common. And this is just one building block towards getting there, right? You need the money to do it. I'm here to help you facilitate this money to this thing that I also think needs to be done. And let's move on from there into a true partnership to make it happen and get out of this feeling of, oh God, like, let me make sure that I have the, that I have the cycles and the granting and when is the next grant funding cycle and what is your process and how do you fund on what calendar, and keeping that all straight in a spreadsheet as a fundraising professional. Like it's a little bananas to me, particularly when I think the work that we all came to do is not that. Is not chasing money, right? I don't think any of us, in whatever time in our lives we decided to join the sector, none of us thought, you know what I'd like to do? Desperately chase money for the next 5 to 10 years of my life.